I'm not conventionally attractive. I'm not conventionally attractive, but I don't consider myself ugly or necessarily unattractive either. You know, I look in the mirror sometimes and I'm like, wow, I am so pretty. And then there are times I look and I'm like, why do I look like this? Literally, why am I built like this? Why is my face built like this? Like, why? What is going on here? Why is it going on here? And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, whether they're conventionally attractive or not. I've come to terms with the fact that I'm never going to fit into beauty standards, so I've decided to stop caring about them. But there was this video I watched. It was called You're Borderline Ugly, and it was such a feel-good video for me. For me personally, and I feel like you could potentially benefit from it as well if you're somebody who struggles with not fitting into beauty standards or struggles with comparing yourself to people who are conventionally attractive and always find yourself thinking, oh my gosh, that person just looks so good. They have these similar features that I have, but it works so well for them. Why don't they work well for me, you know? And I feel like if you're somebody who thinks like that, you could potentially benefit from watching that video. So I'm going to link it below because I love that video. It had me in a little bit of a high after watching. Basically, Stephanie, she's the one who made that video. She talks about how unique features make us stand out. And she talks about models and how a lot of the top models or people who draw a lot of attention in general always have one or two features that set them aside from the norm. So that's a different way to look at me. I always look at myself in the mirror, especially to feel better about myself, and I start talking to myself about features that I like. And now after watching this video, I think I have another perspective, another angle to look at this whole thing from. Like, look at my face and I'm like, oh, my eyes are like ridiculously large, unnecessarily so, scarily so. I like, multiple people have told me this, right? So now I'm super insecure about my eyes. This new angle that I have to look at myself from is like, okay, my eyes that are so unnaturally big, according to people, they set me apart. They give me a feature that stands out and stands out for other people. You know, is it good? Is it bad? I don't really know. You know, it's like not my business how other people perceive me, I guess. You know, like that's on them. I can't control how other people perceive me, you know? And recently, especially a few years ago, because when I cut my hair, I had like when the wolf cut was in, I had it in, and it really, I feel like, made it more prominent how square my jaw is, how like square my face is. And I never realized just how square it was. Like, I always knew like my jaw was a little on the square side. I just never know like how obvious it was, and it made me really insecure again. And I was like, oh, okay, this is fun, this is amazing, this is great. For me personally, I'm like, plastic surgery, like when it comes to face, I don't want it, because there's that whole factor, like once I get plastic surgery, what if I end up not liking the way I look afterwards? What if it's a botched surgery? What if the features I had previously suddenly come into fashion? Because that's the thing about beauty standards. They're constantly changing. They're constantly evolving. Things that were out of fashion a couple years ago, suddenly now back in. I remember specifically in 9th grade, I used to have really thick glasses, like this thick, like before I got ICL done and everything. And they were really thick even after getting shaved down. And so I would have to wear like giant frames to support them and everything. So they covered a good chunk of my like eye, forehead area, whatever. But I got contact lenses in 9th grade, and I had this, you know, the people who are like your friends, but like not close friends, but they're like not acquaintances either. You would sit with them, but you're not like besties, you know? One of those people in my classes, she would look at me and she'd always just start laughing after I got my contact lenses. And I was like, why is she laughing at me? Like, do I look that bad with contact lenses? Like, do I look really bad? She refused to tell me, but then she'd always go off with her friends and giggle with them. And I was like, what? Like, what is so funny? You know, like, what's going on? Eventually, she caved in and she told me it's because my eyebrows were too thick, too bushy, too messy or whatever. That stayed in my brain for days. At this point, I didn't know how to approach my mom and be like, hey, can you help me fix my eyebrows? So I was like, I'll take matters into my own hand. I ended up plucking them so bad and shaving them so much that they ended up looking like sperm, like little sperms on my face for a really long time. And I had to learn to draw them in with like an old eyebrow pencil, eyeliner, or whatever. I don't know, the pencil that I found like randomly in my mom's closet with old makeup, and I was bad at it. I was awful at it. It was so obvious that I'd done something with my eyebrows, but anytime anybody in my family asked, I was just like, no. But it was so obvious. And then I kid you not, a few months go by, and then Big brows aren't back in fashion. Bold, bushy brows, they're suddenly back in fashion. And I was like, okay, okay. Do you see my eyebrows? They've never fully recovered from that whole mess. And I always lament over that. And I'm like, why did I let this girl, this little 14, 15-year-old get to my head like that? But then I have to remind myself, like, okay, I was also like 14 years old at the time. I was deeply insecure, deeply wanting to just fit in and adhere to standards that would make me not stand out as much. That would make me fit in more into the norm and stuff. So I just did whatever, you know? I used to have really bad acne also back in 2019, 2018, 2020 for a good time. I used to have really bad acne and it made me so insecure. It made me so insecure. Like, I was already a homebody. Having acne took it to a whole nother level. I was like, I don't want to leave my house because then people will see me. They will perceive me. They will see my face. They will see the acne. They will see how bad it is, how horrible it is, and they'll notice. And that's what they'll notice about me. And that's how I will be perceived. They'll have an idea of me simply because of how bad my skin is. And it got so bad where I was like, I can't go outside because if I go outside and other people see me, they'll be horrified by how I look. Their entire day will just be ruined because I look horrible. I'm responsible for ruining everybody else's day just by existing in the same world, same time, same place as them. I didn't want friends taking videos or pictures of me. I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror. I didn't want to take selfies or anything, unless they were to like monitor my acne progress or whatever. And it's just like a horrible way of thinking. Like, just because I don't fit into the beauty standard doesn't necessarily mean I'm ugly, right? And this goes for everybody too. Like, just because you don't fit into beauty standards doesn't mean you're automatically ugly. That's not how it is, especially because beauty standards, they're made to be impossible. They're made to be unattainable. Like I said, stuff that was out years ago, back to the eyebrows thing. I'm pretty sure thinner eyebrows are back in fashion. I'm not sure. I've stopped keeping up with the eyebrow stuff because that was so traumatizing. In fact, I've stopped keeping up with beauty standards, you know, in general, because like I've said, I've realized that I'm not going to achieve them necessarily in a healthy way, in a way that's not self-destructive for me. And that's not going to lead down like an endless spiral, you know? There are times when I look at myself though, and I'm like, if I did end up getting plastic surgery, what would I do to my face differently? And then I just look at myself and I'm like, I actually don't know what I'd do to my face to make it more attractive, you know? Because at the end of the day, I'm like, I like my features. I like my features individually. I most of the time like them when they've come together like this. And I have times, like I'm looking at myself right now in the screen and I'm like, wow, why do I look pretty right now? But then I'll be editing this video and then I'll look at myself while editing and I'll be like, I thought I ate. I thought I looked so pretty, but why do I look like this, you know? Back to the whole, I was afraid to leave my house because I thought I was convinced that I was ruining everybody else's day just by existing. And it's like, that's such a weird mindset. That's such a weird mindset, right? Like, I'm not that significant. Like, relax. Calm down, girl. Calm down. You're not that significant to ruin anybody's day just by existing. You know what I mean? I mean, probably out there somebody hates the fact that I just exist, but I don't know who, because I don't talk to people. Fact of the matter, I was embarrassed to be seen, and that's just doesn't feel good. Like, I don't want to be embarrassed of who I am, because it's not something you can control. People will tell you like, oh my gosh, you can totally control your acne, but anybody who's had acne will know it's not that easy. It's not as easy as drink the water. It's not as easy as wash your face. It's not as easy as have your clean diet. It's not that easy. And I feel like it's people just forget that. They don't understand it. Especially, why do I forget the words that I need? Important. People who have had cystic acne, who have had cystic acne, who have had, I forgot the word again, cystic acne and, recurring, that's the word, girl. People who have had cystic acne, people who have had recurring acne that just won't go away no matter what you do, fungal acne. We all know how hard it is to get it to go away, right? And then it goes away for a period of time, and then it hits even worse when it's back, and you're like, why is it back? You know, and it's like people just dehumanize you over something you can't control, and that sucks. But you know what you can control though is not letting it get to you. It's hard. It's so hard, girl. Let me not make it sound as easy as it sounds. It's so hard to not let other people's judgments get to you because you're always faced by them. And it's hard not to. But at the end of the day, you have to put your own thoughts above it. You have to take control and tell yourself, like, my acne does not make me less. Or the way I look doesn't make me less. My eyes that are too big for my face don't make me less. My jaw that's too wide for my face doesn't make me any less. You know what I mean? In freshman year of college, I was taking Hindi classes, right? There were these two boys in that class. One of them I was sort of kind of friends with. The other one was just like there. They both came up to me. Different days, different occasions, different days, different times, whatever, during Hindi class. And they were both days apart. Days apart. We're just like, your eyes are ridiculous. Your eyes are scary. You always look horrified, like scared, etc., etc. And girl, I did not want to hear that. My acne was horrible. On top of that, my eyes are apparently scary. Like, what kind of monster do I look like? Was going through my head. Before, I was already walking, just looking at the ground, right? But before I was looking at the ground, because, girl, I'm a hazard. I have to look where I'm going on the ground so I don't trip over something or other and, you know, make a big fool of myself. But now I was looking at the ground because I was like, I don't want people to see me. I don't want people to see my face. I don't want them to see my skin. I don't want them to see my eyes. And I was looking at the ground because I was like, I know that if people see me, it's going to ruin their day. And I'm going to be stuck in their minds because they saw something that was just so horrifying on a day they didn't expect. Gradually on the way to class, they didn't expect to see such a horrifying sight that I'm just stuck in their minds. Girl, that is such a horrible way of thinking about myself. It's just so much easier to just not care. Even knowing that I'm not going to finish any beauty standards. It's like, I know. What matters is that I like the way I look, you know? And even though I'm gonna have people commenting on my eyes, even though I'm gonna have people commenting on my face, on my skin, it's okay. It's okay. I have to tell myself it's okay, right? I feel like I wish I could go back in time and tell myself that I'm never going to be perfect, right? I'm never going to be perfect. And that's okay. What matters is how you feel about yourself. And it's hard to feel good about yourself, though. It's so hard to feel good about yourself when you feel like you don't look good. I wish I could go back and tell myself that I have to stop trying to be perfect. I have to stop trying to appear to be perfect to feel like I have the privilege to leave my house, the privilege to be outside and in society, doing my own errands, minding my own business. I'm not even talking to people. I'm not even interacting with anybody. I'm just running errands, buying groceries, going to classes, getting some food. I'm not interacting with anybody. I'm not trying to make friends. I'm not trying to, whatever. So what's the point of looking perfect for other people who I'm not even going to see again, who I'm not even going to have in my life? What's the point? I wish I could tell myself, but no, I was just so stuck on, I have to be perfect. I have to look perfect to leave my husband. I didn't know how to look perfect. How do you look perfect? So the video by Stephanie, You're Borderline Ugly, I feel like that's how it changed my perspective on how I view myself. Instead of being like, my eyes are psychotic. They make me look like a horror movie character or whatever, what have you. Like, instead of looking at it like that, I have to look at it like it sets me apart from everybody else, because beauty standards, you know, people are constantly changing themselves to fit into these standards that are made to be impossible. You know, even people who set the beauty standards don't set it naturally. They've had some sort of surgery done, right? To achieve it. And then it sets off this whole chain of events where everybody else is doing this surgery. Then it's just like copy and print, copy and print, copy and print, copy and paste, copy and paste, and copy and paste, until so many people start looking like the same person, just a different font. They all start looking like they're related. But then the beauty standard is set because they're the ones who are so prevalent. They're the ones who are always shoved in our faces. So that's just something I want to tell myself. And I feel like that's a nice way of looking at oneself if we're so conscious about not fitting into the beauty standard. I don't fit into the beauty standard, and that's okay, because this one feature that I have, it sets me apart from everybody else. It brings something else to the table. That's a nice thought to have. And that's all I have to say for this video. If you watched it, thank you so much. Bye!